All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Dropping the Gloves. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for joining us. We got a huge playoff preview, Tim.
Yeah, we do.
Unbelievable. We got a
Huge
big guest. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Ryan Reaves. How you doing, What do I call you? What do your friends call you?
Revo.
Can I call you Revo?
You can call me Revo.
I've earned that.
I think we're boys.
I think so. You can call me Mr. Scott. That's fine.
That doesn't roll off my tongue very well. I don't think I can call you that.
Call me Big John. That's fine. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Ryan. So how you're injured. Let's just get this out of the way. How you doing? How's the body? You're back soon.
Body's doing good. I've been skating. I'm back for playoffs game 1.
Oh, so who do you want to play in the playoffs?
I mean, I don't really care just because you got to go through those top teams anyways. You're in the division. You got to come out of your division. So at some point, you're going to have to play them. I think, you'd probably rather see a heated series between Colorado and Mini, let them bang each other up a little bit and then catch one of them after that. But, St. Louis at the same time, they know how to win. They came down from last in the league to win the Stanley Cup. They got some good veterans on that team, but I think we played them probably better than the other two this year. So, it would be nice to get that President's Trophy and have home ice advantage for the whole playoffs.
Yeah, it's funny. Before the season started, everybody talked about how good the East was, that one division with the Bruins, the Penguins, all like the juggernauts in that division. All of a sudden, your guys' division is arguably the strongest division in the NHL. You guys, the Avalanche, Minnesota's been playing well. St. Louis. Do you think it's at a disadvantage for you guys to have to battle pretty much top 4 teams in the NHL just to get to the semifinals?
No, because you gotta go through those teams anyways, and then the teams in the other division, the top 2 teams got to go through each other there, and then you got to come through however they're gonna do the playoffs after that. When you come in that division, you're gonna have to go through a top team there. So you're playing top teams, you got to go through them, and there's just nothing you can do about it. I'd rather be engaged in those hard battles rather than 2 easy series, and then all of a sudden you get thrown at one of these top teams, and you're like, whoa, where have these teams been for the first 2 rounds?
Yeah, I've been talking about that with Toronto the whole season, how I think the North is just a terrible division other than Toronto, and they're going to just have this cakewalk for the first 2 rounds, and then they're going to walk into the playoffs like, wait a minute. So I understand. All right. You've been out. Your team's been playing some pretty, intense games with Minnesota. Your captain just said, he came out, he said, listen, teams are playing a little bit braver with Ryan not in the lineup. What does that do to you when you watch a Minnesota game and you see Foligno and Greenway and those guys flying around, and all of a sudden they're the toughest guys on the ice and they're playing like it? Does it fire you up? Does it make you pissed off? Like, what's going through your head when you watch that?
Oh, I got a little notebook out. I'm just taking names, getting ready for whoever we play. Just like, don't think I don't forget this kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's just what happens when, and we've talked about this before, when you don't have guys like us on the ice, that's what happens, because the next biggest, toughest guy is going to act like the biggest, toughest guy. You see Foligno going after guys, and, some of their guys taking liberties. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to forget it. Just because I wasn't in the game doesn't mean they're not doing that against my team. So, if we catch Minnesota at some point, there'll be a response.
You mentioned a team not having a tough guy. The whole talk of the league was Tom Wilson going after Panarin and those guys. What was your take on that? You don't see these guys. You're not going to see them at all this season unless you meet in the Stanley Cup or the playoffs or whatever it is, the Cup Finals. What did you think about that whole scenario?
I was texting with March or so. He sent it to me. He sent me the clip, and I think exactly what I said was, I can't tell if this is going to be nothing, he's going to just walk completely clean, or if he's going to get 50 games. It was like, it's how they interpret it. Because when you see it, it's like, yeah, that's a scrum. Well, okay, he took that scrum a little bit too far. He slammed the guy's head on the ice with no helmet. It's a superstar. But at the same time, it is just one of those scrums. Panarin jumped on his back. So I couldn't tell. But again, there's another one of those scenarios where he knows he can do that and there's going to be no repercussions. Like, New York, if they had anybody in their system, they would have called him up for that next game and there would have been repercussions. And yeah, they had guys step up and there's a ton of fights, and that was great on their team. But I don't think Tom Wilson was scared to go into that next game, although he did leave it.
Do you think Tom does that if old Revo's on the bench?
Probably not.
Not a chance, right? I said
No.
the same thing. If there's any kind of toughness on the Rangers, he maybe grabs Panarin and that's it.
Yeah.
All right, you
Because
mentioned
because if that happens and he doesn't get kicked out of that game, I can promise you we're fighting 3 times that game. And if he does get kicked out of that game, I promise you, I'm telling him we're either fighting 3 times or I'm jumping you. Like, take your pick. Defend yourself, or let's just get it over with.
that's the only reaction people should have. It's perfect. I thought he was going to get the book thrown at him. I was shocked when he got a $5,000 fine. Like, this guy is going to get the playoffs and into next season. I was blown away. I know you can't talk on it too much, but I was shocked.
I like I said, I couldn't tell which way it was going, but he did just come off a suspension too, which I thought might have played a little bit into it because that makes him an immediate repeat offender. But I guess they just saw it as a scrum. But then yeah, I mean, we'll get away from that. Yeah,
we don't want to get you in trouble before the playoffs, yeah. Ryan. All right, exactly. you mentioned Marchessault. So I was looking at the stats for the Vegas Golden Knights, and I found something a little strange. He is the leading PIM getter of the Vegas Golden Knights, Jonathan Marchessault.
Mm-hmm.
Are you nervous that he is taking your role? He is a skill guy. He put up 42 points, but he also plays the physical role. Do you have to prove something when you get back into the lineup because Jonathan's been so effective in that role?
He has. And I've been telling him, what, maybe I'm going to come back and I'm going to start scoring all the goals. And then what? Then he's going to have to take my contract. I'm going to get his. So you better watch out.
I think if he fought Curtis Gabriel, he would do a little better than you. Listen, I don't want to throw stones, but I just think he gets underestimated, Ryan. He really does.
Who, Marchie?
Yeah.
He's squirrely. He's got a little bit of snap in him on the ice. Like I see it sometimes. But he does like to say he likes to stay in his weight class, so that's okay. I'd rather him stay in his weight class.
What's with you only getting in 3 fights? Barring the injury, I figured you guys had a very physical conference. Every team seemed to have a tough guy. Was it just not there this season? No one was asking, or you guys just kind of clear of each other?
So sometimes McDermott has asked me a couple of times, but there's been when McDermott asked me, I think the way the game's changed, the way Pete wants me to play, McDermott will just ask me we're up 3-0 or we're up 4-0. Hey, give me one. And it's like, Pete doesn't want me doing that. And I'm not going to go against, and if McDermott goes and lays out somebody, well, then absolutely. Or if I go lay out somebody right in front of him, then absolutely, I'll give him that. But, those like, hey, give me one to give me one. And, I don't think anybody in this organization really wants me doing that anymore. Some teams just don't have that. Then you got, San Jose, you got that circus running around. And, that was a hard no until, he ran Tucky from behind and then I had to go do something. But, yeah.
Does it make you feel, I know when I always played, I enjoyed getting a 2-0, 3-0 lead just because I could always just be like, beat it. Like we're up 3 rip, kick rocks. We're not going to fight. It's got to feel good knowing that you don't have to do that when your team gets up. It's like, you know what? Beat it, nerd.
It is nice. Like, like fighting's hard on the body. And if, just to do it, especially in a schedule like this, when you're playing every other day. And, we had a stretch where we played like 10 and 14 or something crazy like that. That's hard on the body if you're going to be fighting all that time and then playing back to back and every other day. So, it's nice that we were, I'm on a really good team that we usually had the lead and I didn't have to, do it just to do it.
We were talking before, you mentioned Gabriel. I'm not a huge fan of Curtis Gabriel. I think our listeners know that based on our podcast and my comments about him. You have intimate knowledge of Curtis. You play against him. He's goading you on. The guy loves him. Like he loves to be in the spotlight. He's all over Twitter. He's all over himself. What's it like playing against a guy like that who just he wants that clout. He wants to be in the spotlight. What do you think is going on? Can you give us some antics? I don't know. What are your thoughts on Curtis Gabriel?
He's just annoying to play against because it's like, his chirps are not very good. I remember we were leaning over the bench. It's like, hey, you gonna give me one? It's like, if you do something in this game, I'll give you one. If you go hit somebody, it's like, oh, you don't even like the game anymore. It's like, what? So I saw you fight Delorier, and okay. He's like, you were dodging his punches. You don't even like getting punched in the face. It's like, well, You do. I see that you do. Every time you fight, you keep getting speed bags. Like, I don't know, but no, I don't like getting punched in the face. And I couldn't tell if that was a chirp or like what was going on. And just like some of his antics, like he stabs our logo all the time. And like, but that kind of stuff. He comes out for warm-ups and he's yelling and he's stabbing the logo and he's doing hot laps everywhere and he's like staring me down. Well, after warm-ups is done, that is basically the end of what he does in the game. You know what I mean? So what am I going to bother for?
Does any of that work? Do you go into the locker room after warmups and like, holy moly, I am scared?
Never has that. Like I look at him. The first time we played, he was on the blue line facing us right before the national anthem. His whole team's facing the flag.
No.
And he's like going back and forth like he was ready to jump me right there. And I was looking at him and I was like, man, you might have to change because you look gassed right now. You've been jumping around this whole anthem. I was like, go change and like take a seat. It's his antics are they're hilarious. And I know what he's trying to do. Like he's trying to bring energy to the team and all that. But it at some point he's gonna have to win a fight too.
That's the key. The key is to be able to back it up. And I always felt when I played, the guys who usually bark the loudest have zero bite whatsoever.
Exactly.
And I always got nervous when a guy was just stone cold silent. Like, yeah. I know when I played against McIntyre, when I played against like a David Kochi, they would not say a word. I'm like, holy cow, this guy's like,
because they don't need to.
Even when I played against you, I was like, I didn't know what to expect out of this Ryan Reaves cat. And I'm like, he's not saying much.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous, and you just never, but it's the guys who are talking a lot. You're like, okay, I don't have much to worry about with this guy.
Yeah. And I've never worried about it. It's just the only thing I worry about is him doing stupid to somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he's like always under control when he goes to hit somebody or if he cares about seeing somebody's numbers or, you know what I mean? So that's what worries about me being on the ice, but him coming after me or trying to fight me, like that doesn't scare me at all.
No, he's not a scary guy. He has that one rip. He has the one. I don't know why we're talking about him. Let's move on.
All right.
So you've had a good season. The Vegas Golden Knights. Listen, I don't want to see you've exceeded expectations. You guys, you are who you are. You're the Vegas Golden Knights. You should contend for a Stanley Cup literally every season now. You're just loaded. You have two of the top, I would say, 5 goaltenders in the league. You got a balanced attack. How has the season gone? Honestly, are you guys happy with how you've played? Are you not happy? Are you, satisfied?
You got to be happy. I mean, not just with where we are in the standings, but, I think with the salary cap situation we're in right now, a big part of it is because we carry 2 really good goalies and the salary cap didn't go up. So we've been a little bit tight. So, like last night, because of it, we played 15 players. We played 19, we played 18 a couple times this season, and we're finding ways to win. And I think it's just because we're so balanced. You got to be happy with everything we've done this season.
So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about some of your teammates. I want to start with Mark Stone. Back in January, he was named the first captain in the franchise history. I mean, what's he like as a leader? And have you seen him like change at all over the course of that since being named captain officially, or is it kind of who he's always been?
Yeah, honestly, when he came here, I thought he should have been captain right away. He's a guy that plays the right way all over the ice. And not only that, but just like the energy he brings. You see a lot of superstars, they score a goal, it's a little fist bump, and they don't really care. Like Stoney, when he scores or somebody else scores, he has the most energy in his celebrations for his goals, for other guys' goals. He battles, he plays physical, leads the league in takeaways. He's not like the loudest guy in the locker room. When he talks, you listen for sure, but you watch him on the ice and you want to follow his lead. And I think when he got to see, he just upped it a little bit more. And I think he's one of the best captains in the league.
And you guys obviously have 2 like stellar goalies, but Fleury's been the one who's really been the rock behind between the pipes this year, and he's been healthy. Like, it just seems like he's playing lights out and still doesn't seem to get the credit that he should. Is when you talk about the best goalies in the league, best goalies of all time, he's climbing the all-time save chart right now. You talk a little bit about just how good he's been, how important he is to this team.
I mean, like you said, he's the backbone of this team. He's played lights out. He's stolen us games on multiple occasions. There's some games where, sometimes your team just doesn't have it on a night. And there's been games where, that if he wasn't in the net, we would have probably got canned. He's, one of the, top 3 of all time now for a reason. And he's, and just the way he carries himself, there's a reason why he's that good. He works so hard in practice. He's, I've had goalies where you come down, you shoot on him, and there's a rebound, and he couldn't care less about the rebound. If you come down and shoot on Fleury and there's 6 rebounds, he will play every one of those shots, and he'll battle on every one of them. And that's why it translates in games for him, because he never gives up on pucks. And I think his work ethic, even in his age right now, is what makes him the best in the world.
That I'll jump into. I'm sorry that I love that when goalies compete in practice.
Yeah,
there's nothing worse than shooting on a goalie and they just like they take every other shot, or they're just like whatever. Like I've played with guys, I'm just like just stop. Like that's your job. Have fun doing what you're doing. Like Henrik Lundqvist, I love practicing playing with him because the guy would like you said, like Fleury, he'd play out every single shot. He'd be diving across. Like he loved playing goalie. There's nothing worse than getting a goalie who's just like, I'm going to take this one off. It drives me nuts.
I played with goalies where you take one shot, he'll make the save, and then the next one comes down, he'll take a shot, and he won't even move because didn't need that one. You know what I mean? It's like, well, no, this is how it's going to translate in a game for you too.
No, they're too good to take the second shot. That always drove me nuts. Or they didn't want to take my shot because I was just a tough guy. It's not worth it. Then I just ring it right by their ears.
That pisses me off too. I've had goalies like that. It's like I don't need to save rebound shots.
Yeah, I'm like, why? Because you're so good. You're perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, drives me nuts. The struggle of being a tough guy is real. Honestly,
it is.
Anyways,
really,
okay.
You know what though?
Go ahead.
The fun thing about Flowers, for some reason in practice, there's some practices where I absolutely light him up. So he tries really hard against me. And we have fun with it. Like I'll let him know when I'm lighting up, and he'll definitely let me know if I can't get anything by him.
That's the thing I noticed about him. I've seen him with the Penguins. I played against him so many times. He seems just like a cool guy. He seems like a guy after practice. He's busting your balls. He's just a nice guy. Is he that way? Like, what's he like off the ice?
He's probably the nicest, coolest guy I've ever met. And I'm not the only guy to say that. Like there's guys on our team that he'll be shooting the shit with him and he'll go away. And sometimes guys just like, man, he's just the coolest guy ever. But he really is though. He's so nice. He's so genuine with everything. He's just like, I think Patch said it the other day. Is like, man, I wish I was just him for a day, just to be that cool for a day. And it's true. Like he's just an absolute legend. I can't believe I played with this guy. Like, he's an absolute legend.
He's got so many cups. He's like he literally is one of the best goalies of all time.
Yeah.
Like he's a legend. And he's just so laid back. He's so cool. How did he take when you guys signed Leiner? Because there was that big controversy. I've always wondered, like, did he get all like sore about that, or was he cool about it? Did it ever reflect in his play or his attitude?
Never reflected in his play and attitude. I mean, I can't speak for what was going on in his head. I'm sure it was a tough pill to swallow when you're the best goalie in the league for the last couple of years, and then you bring in another guy, and he kind of steals a little of your spotlight. I'm sure it was a little tough, but he never wavered in his work ethic and the way he was around the boys. And when he came in, he was lights out for us still. I don't think it ever affected his game at all. He was a professional about it. And, Lenny went down this year and, again, he got a chance to shine again. And again, top goalie in the league.
Shea Theodore's a guy who seems like he just gets better every single year too. And he's taken some like progressions like every single season. Now he's top 10 in points. Can you talk a little bit about just like watching him progress as a player and become now what I consider an elite NHL defenseman?
I mean, I don't know what was going on in Anaheim when they let him go, but I mean, that guy is a top 3 defenseman in the league right now. And he's going to be, he might be the best defenseman in the league in 2 years. He's got hands like a really good forward, and he can break the puck out by himself. His skating is unbelievable. He's the full package. He's got you saw it a lot in the bubble last year. His shiftiness at the point and his confidence to make that first forward miss and him taking it to the net. He does it better than anybody that I've ever seen. So he's going to be he already is a top defenseman, but he's going to be a number 1 defenseman in this league.
How does you guys get three, like you got Martinez, you got Theodore, then you Peter Angelo.
And I'm glad you mentioned Marty. Marty has to be one of the most underrated defensemen in the league. He's so good. Like the amount of shots he blocks, like he is an absolute warrior. And he puts up decent points too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's got to be one of the most underrated. And then you throw Petro in the mix, who's a one-man breakout. He's one guy. When I got traded, like I'm gonna lay this guy out once or twice, and he's hard to hit. Like he makes the first guy miss, and he's gone the other way, and he jumps in the play so well. And he's one of those demons that's not afraid to stay in the play. I mean, we have to have one of the best decors in the league.
Well, even a guy like Braden McNabb, I played with him. The guy's a solid defenseman. Like he does, meat and potatoes guy. He's unbelievable.
Yeah. But he's for a big guy. He's got some decent hands. He's like, he's got some decent edge work, and man, does he hit hard too.
Yeah.
Like he's almost like a Cronwell. He knows how to throw that back into you. It's scary for those forwards to be coming down on him because he knows how to time it well.
Oh, he's a moose. He's massive. So is it a failed season if you guys don't win the cup?
I mean, it's always a failed season if you don't win the cup.
Especially that, like, you guys are loaded. This is, you know what I mean? Like the first year you were a surprise. Now it's like, this is it.
Yeah. I mean,
we're
expecting to win the cup. We're the way we've played and how we've done it with like we were talking about before with the salary cap issues. There is no salary cap in the playoffs now. So you can have everybody. And, as long as we can stay healthy and get healthy and stay healthy for the playoffs, I don't think there's a team that can beat us in this league.
I agree. I honestly agree. You were my Colorado, man. They're good. I'm excited to see that battle.
Too. They are. Yeah.
I'm very excited to see that matchup because I do think you guys will be the final two in this. Do you like this setup just because you guys are probably 1-2 in the whole league? Just, that's a debate. Do you like this setup that you could potentially lose out in the second round where you're a Stanley Cup contending team?
No, I think it's just the nature of the beast with COVID and everything. I think that's just the best way that it had to go down for this season. But I've always been a big fan of 1 versus 16 or 1 versus 8 in the conferences.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean, because I think you earn that right. If there's one thing that the regular season does is you earn the right to be the top team, and that gives you the right to play the worst team. And I think that's how it should be. Even when they changed it a couple of years ago, I wasn't a huge fan, but I know they're starting to explore it again. I'm hoping once all this COVID garbage is done, then we can get back to that.
How did you think your year went? You played these guys 7-8 times this season. Was it as intense as you thought it was going to be, or did it just get boring? It's like, geez, we play in Anaheim again. Here comes San Jose again.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought it was going to be a lot of fun, and I think at the beginning of the season it was. And it was like, you had mini playoff series almost, and some games did get heated and carried over to the next game. But as the season wore on, it was like, I wish we could play a different team. I feel like, there was at one point we played Arizona 4 times in a row. That was early, but we had, a couple times where it felt like you were playing the same team over and over and over. And it's like, okay. And because you're playing so many games, as the season wore on, that spillover kind of slowed down a little bit because you're so worn down and you're still playing physical. But I think that playoff kind of, I hate you the next game kind of wore off a little bit. And then it was just, you're just getting sick of playing the same team. So, but again, that's just how the season had to be.
What was the day-to-day like? Did you guys have how many off? Just say a regular week, you played what, 3-4 games?
Yeah. At least,
are the rest of the days off days? How much practice time? Like it's so strange.
Yeah. I mean, at the beginning of the year, you tried getting a couple practices in, but I mean, I would say probably 2 months in the season, you maybe got a practice a week. And like right now, we've been playing every other day and we're banged up. Like we've been, I don't know the last time they practiced, to be honest with you. A lot of game day skates, but most off day practices have either been optional or nothing at all.
That's crazy. That's good and bad, but as a guy who's injured, it's hard to get back into the mojo when you can't practice with the team.
It is, but having the taxi squad is a little bit better because you have a couple extra guys. So the taxi squad will skate with the injured guys, and so that helps. And so I've been skating with our skills coach here, who's unbelievable, and he's been getting me into shape. But this next week will be good because everybody's off. Our games will be done. You'll have a couple days in between where you will practice for sure.
So yeah, the season's over. You guys win the President's Trophy. Everything's great. You match up with St. Louis as it stands now in the first round. Are you playing? How does that match up? What's your game plan with St. Louis? They didn't have the greatest season. You guys, like you said, played them pretty well. How does that series go down? Is it 4 games? Or are you going to win in 5? Just let us know how that happens, Ryan.
Well, I want to say we're going to win in 4. And we have played them well. I think we've gone into their building and played them really hard. I think I don't know if they beat us in this building. I can't remember. But I'd like to say it's 4, but playoff series are always hard to sweep, especially against a team that's been there before. They're going to put up a fight, but like I said, I don't see any team that can beat us in the playoffs when we're healthy.
Are you worried about Kyle Clifford after how badly he beat you this season? Does that make you nervous at all?
A little bit, yeah. It's these guys are coming in. They're trying to take the belt, and I know Kyle's going to want it again. So I'm going to have to do some studying.
You know where you can go do studying is hockeyfights.com. Have you ever frequented that site, Ryan?
I have many times, yeah.
Did you know that we are the sole podcast of hockeyfights.com?
I did, yeah. I see.
You knew that.
I do. I follow you guys on Instagram, Twitter, all that.
Oh, Ryan, you're too kind. So listen, your beer. Last time we talked, you had a beer. How's that going? How are sales? Have you been enjoying some brews while you've been off?
I was just talking about it today. I haven't been drinking as much as I usually do. I think maybe because of the injury and just because we've been playing so many games.
Of course.
I still mix it. Like dinner, I'll have a beer for sure. But like before, it was like I don't sleep after games ever. So usually after a game, I just come home and crush a couple beers, and by 4 o'clock, I'd hopefully get to bed.
4 o'clock?
Oh, like early as 4 o'clock after a game.
And that's been throughout your career?
Oh yeah.
Why? Do you take like Red Bulls and stuff before games? Or are you just all jacked up on coffee?
No, I don't drink coffee. 1 Red Bull.
That's it. And you can't fall asleep till 4 a.m.
No, and I even tried games where I don't drink Red Bull and I'm still wide awake. And then back in the day, I was taking Ambiens every game day.
Yeah.
And that's a slippery slope, and I don't like how I feel the next morning on Ambien, so I stopped that. And it's just I couldn't find anything that worked. I went to a sleep doctor here, and they said, okay, yeah, we'll prescribe you something. I was like, well, is it more pills? Like, yeah. I was like, well, I don't want to take pills. Like I'm trying to get away from the pills. So I've tried like breathing things. I've tried calming, relaxing stuff in the headphone, and just nothing works. I think I get too amped up for games, and I have a hard time coming down from it.
That's wild. I would fall asleep on the bench sometimes. I was so relaxed.
And it's because you're on the bench for most of the game.
Most of the game. That's,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Thanks for coming, Ryan. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Is that why you developed your beer? So you can tip a couple back after the game?
Yeah, that. And, I think there's a little business opportunity in Vegas. Vegas is a little bit behind the 8 ball when it comes to craft beer. I think there's 20 breweries in Vegas. Well, there's 20 on a block in Seattle. You know what I mean? So a little bit behind. There's a business opportunity. There was, man, what am I going to do after hockey? Because I know I'm gonna get squirrely. And I think this is, we're talking about expanding it out of Vegas this summer. So I get to get out and still go on my mini road trips and do something that I love still, instead of all of a sudden not having a schedule and just staying home all day. Yeah. I don't know if I can just transition into doing nothing right away. You know what I mean?
So you're going to be a Conor McGregor alcohol mogul. You're going to take your beer to Winnipeg, Vegas.
That's right.
What's your beer called? Where can people find it?
Just in Vegas right now. The company's called 7-5 Brewing. And we got a lager called Dawnbreaker, golden ale called Training Day, IPA called Shiver Giver, and a stout called the Grim Reaver. And,
the Grim Reaver. Oh,
yeah. And then we got an exclusive with MGM called Showtime.
All right. If I come to Vegas, I would like to try each of those at least twice. I like to, try
At
them
least
at
tall
least
cans
twice.
though. Tall cans. But
I'm
you're
a tall
you're a big
guy.
boy, so you can deal with it.
I can, you know what? I can tip a couple back with the best of them. Tim, what about you? Are you coming?
Yeah, I want the Shiver Giver. That sounds delicious.
That's my
Gross.
favorite one. Well, Shiver Giver and Grim Reaver are my favorite. I just started getting into the stouts, but the Shiver Giver is really good.
All right. Sounds good, Revo. Well, thank you for coming on again, my friend. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Always a pleasure, man. You're blessed.
Always.
Awesome. Well,
Appreciate
listen, let's connect after the first round win. We'll see how you're doing, how the body's holding up, and get ready for the second round, my friend.
Sounds good.
All right, Ryan Reaves, everybody, check it out. He's going to be back in the playoffs. Thank you for listening, and we will talk to you guys later. Cheers.